See, the recording is starting. Got it. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. It's good to see you all. I know we all wish it could have been in person at Boscobel. We were really looking forward to that, but just with the guidance from the state, it just made more sense and safer to do it one more time on Zoom. Let's hope in the fall we really can come back together as one Greenway organization. So let me welcome you all to the June 8th, 2022 board meeting. I am hearing some feedback on the line, so maybe people can, if you can hit mute on your screens, on your Zooms, it might help avoid some of the distortion that we're hearing. Thank you so much. Welcome again. I'm happy to open this meeting with Wynn Aldrich, who's acting chair of the Communities Council, and we will begin by reviewing today's agenda and to ask for any board member comments on the agenda. And I should say that we do have a couple of proclamations that will be coming up. Scott, we have one from Lori. Do you want to do that now?
Why don't we appoint Scott Croft to the advisory board first, and then we'll move to the proclamations?
Sure, okay. So hearing no board member comments on the agenda, let's go ahead and do that. We have one appointment to make today, and that is to appoint Scott Croft to the advisory board. And Scott, did you want to say a little word?
Yeah, Scott Croft is the Vice President of Public Affairs for Boat US, which is the premier boating advocate in the United States. He is also the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Hudson River Boat and Yacht Club Association. I've worked with Scott for the past several years on the Hudson River Harbor Safety Committee. As the only two representatives of recreational boaters on that committee, we often find ourselves working closely together. And Scott has an open mind and demonstrated willingness to work collaboratively with those whom he does not always agree, which makes him an ideal candidate for the advisory board for the Greenway. He also serves as a member of Fran Dunwell's Hudson River Estuary Management Advisory Committee, which demonstrates both his versatility and popularity. And we are seeking to appoint him to the advisory board to replace the late Frank Bergman, who left us several years ago. I've had my eye on Scott for this slot for a while, but I wanted to let him get his feet on the ground with Fran's Estuary Committee first. Scott, do you want to say anything?
I'm excited to help where I can. I like getting on the water in any kind of vessel. Doesn't make a difference what you get on the water, as long as you get on the water. It makes us all feel good and nature cleanse. I think that's what some of the terms I've heard, but I totally believe in it. And if anything I can do to help everybody on this organization, I'm willing to help.
Well, that's great to hear, Scott, and welcome aboard. Scott, do we have to call for a motion to make this official?
In the past, it's been a chair's appointment, but if you want to call for a motion, I'm perfectly happy with that too. Well, I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let me call for a motion for appointing Scott to the advisory board.
I so move. Meg Down.
Thank you, Meg. And a second?
Sarah Olson has her hand up.
Great. Okay, thank you, Sarah. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye, either
aye.
By saying
aye.
It. Aye.
Aye.
And
aye. Let me just add to what Scott had said about always being on the water. I hope that includes hard water. That is the river when frozen in the winter.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. And hearing no no's, it's official. Welcome, Scott. We're delighted to have you as a member of our advisory board. Now we do have, as you'll see on the agenda, a couple of proclamations to record. And in terms of the order, do you want to do Lori first, Scott?
Sure, we could do Lori first.
Yeah, I think so.
Went, I believe you were going to read the proclamations if you want to start with Lori's.
Wynn, you're on mute, my friend. I'm sorry.
There, I hope it stays. Can I be heard?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Proclamation commending Lori Ensinger for distinguished service to the board of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council. Whereas Lori Ensinger was appointed to the Greenway Council on the 4th day of November, 2019, and has faithfully attended the meetings and participated in the proceedings. And whereas Lori Ensinger has provided the citizens of the Hudson River Valley with time, effort, and knowledge, and whereas Lori Ensinger has resigned from the board of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council, therefore be it resolved, the joint boards of the Hudson River Valley Greenway do hereby pause in their deliberations to honor and commend Lori Ensinger for 2.5 years of dedicated service to the communities and citizens of the Hudson River Valley Greenway, and be it further resolved that a copy of this proclamation be provided to Lori Ensinger by the Greenway as a symbol of appreciation. Should we call for a motion of approval, Scott?
We can do that now, or we can do it with friends as well. We should probably just do the one.
Yeah, let's do one together.
All right, then let me proceed to Fran. But first, let me just say, Lori, that you have represented wonderfully the very important issue of land conservation in Westchester County, and by experience and representing that to other counties as well throughout our region, and is a tremendously important example of what we all wish to see happen with our open lands. A proclamation commending Frances Fran Dunwell for distinguished service to the joint boards of the Hudson River Valley Greenway. Whereas Frances Dunwell was appointed on behalf of numerous commissioners of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation as a delegate to the joint boards of the Hudson River Valley Greenway on December 20th, 1995, and has faithfully attended meetings and participated in proceedings. And whereas Frances Dunwell has provided the citizens of the Hudson River Valley with time, effort, and knowledge, and whereas Frances Dunwell has chronicled the history of the Hudson River through her writings, and whereas Frances Dunwell will be retiring from state service in July 2022, therefore be it resolved, the joint boards of the Hudson River Valley Greenway do hereby pause in their deliberations to honor and commend Frances Dunwell for more than 26 years of dedicated service to the communities and citizens of the Hudson River Valley Greenway, and congratulate her on her retirement. And be it further resolved that a copy of this proclamation be provided to Frances Dunwell by the Greenway as a symbol of appreciation. And let me say, Fran, that we have been colleagues at DEC and beyond for over 40 years. We know that you're going to continue to be doing all the wonderful things that you've done in perhaps a slightly different form. And what that has been is immeasurably important. The work with estuarine resources and everything else. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Winty, and thank you so much to the Greenway. Little known fact that before I worked for DEC and served on the Greenway board, I worked for Scenic Hudson. And Scenic Hudson was actively lobbying to have the Greenway created. And one of the things that wasn't going very well, they were trying to get the governor at that time to form the Greenway, and they weren't making much progress. And my suggestion was, let's do a study bill. And so that's what happened. They did a study bill about creating a Greenway. They used that process to get different stakeholders together and think about what the Greenway would be like, how it be composed. And then after a year, the study bill was presented to the governor, and he enthusiastically endorsed it and formed the Greenway. So I feel like I had a small role to play in the creation of the Greenway, even before its legislation was passed. And it's been a pleasure serving, and I really appreciate the quality of the staff of the Greenway, and I really enjoy the other board members. So thank you so much for this recognition.
And you've been helping guide executive directors for all that time, I think. And I see Assemblywoman Galiff has her hand up, and then Jennifer Carlquist after that.
I do, Fran. I think it wasn't just a small role that you played in the Greenway. You played a major, major role, and you've been doing that, for so many years. And I've enjoyed, coming to the Greenway meetings and always chatting with you for at least a second about different issues. But you have just been such an important part of this Greenway Council, as well as the DEC. So you've done a lot of convincing over the years, and I just congratulate you, and job well done. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Assemblywoman.
And Jennifer, you may be muted. Okay, it looks like Jennifer's dropped off.
Let me just jump in. I also wanted to say, I love these books, and they are both on my shelf, and they're Fran's. One is the Hudson, America's River, and the other is the Hudson River Highlands. Go find them at your local bookseller, if you can, or on Amazon if you so desire. They're wonderful resources. They are eternal like our river, and they will always be an important resource for people who love the Hudson Valley. And I consider them really important touchstones for me. Fran, I've learned so much from you and look forward to remaining in touch, of course. And I know we'll continue to seek your guidance. And just, it's been such a pleasure working with you and someone who's really shaped the Greenway for good. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And I want to note that the royalties from my books are donated to the Natural Heritage Trust. So
that's wonderful. I didn't know that. It's fantastic.
Yep. Yes.
I heartily recommend them. They're great.
I think the royalties have earned enough to perhaps, install one park bench somewhere.
Very good. Very good.
I see Meg Downey has her hand up.
I just wanted to briefly say, Fran, you've just been a beacon for anyone who's cared about environmental issues in the Hudson Valley. So thank you for all those years of doing that. And I know you'll continue to do that. So thank you.
Thanks, Meg. And you were key in the creation of the Greenway with all those editorials from the Poughkeepsie Journal that I recall. It really made a huge difference.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Sarah Olson.
I just want to add my congratulations to Fran. As everyone has said, you've just been an incredibly strong, steady, lasting presence and such a welcoming and friendly one to those of us who've come in to the Hudson Valley in a variety of capacities. So congrats.
Thank you, Sarah. And we were female pioneers, weren't we? In a field that was male dominated when we started.
Perhaps.
Cindy Lanzetta.
I just want to say there must be something special about the name Fran. I'm thinking of Franny Reese and Fran Dunwell. I mean, just amazing women that have held up the Hudson River communities. And you've been such an important part to the local towns that live along the waterfront and helping us to develop and bring people down to the river. And I want to thank you for all that hard work.
Well, we had a great event when the dock was unveiled last fall. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed working with you, Cindy.
Anyone else? Yes, Linda Cooper.
Well, Fran and I also go back a long way in environmental protection and conservation, and I too I wasn't as much on the government. So I was advocating in the public hearings down in Westchester for the creation of the Greenway way back when. But it's Fran's mark is indelible, and it's not just here on the Greenway. It's in the state open space plan. It's in everything that's on the river. It's all of the public access to the river. It's all of the education along the river. It's all the grant programs that have allowed communities to do so many different things. And it's generally that awareness. And there was maybe a historic awareness, but to blend the historic, the cultural, and the environmental wasn't just Pete Seeger, it was Fran Dunwell. So I too join in and saying it's from state parks in particular, state parks and DEC are close sister agencies. And we've enjoyed working with Fran in parks and in the many years before that from a local government perspective. So thank you, Fran, good luck.
Yeah, Linda and I worked on biodiversity conservation when she was a town supervisor. So we go way, way back. And then even before that. So thank you, Linda. It's great working with you.
Anyone else besides me? When I started here in 1986, Fran was already here. And immediately asked me a question I couldn't answer and had to go look up. So, and she's kept me on my toes ever since. I've said a lot to her at the HREMAC meeting, and I'm not going to repeat it here. She knows how special she is to me and to my family. And thank you, Fran. Kevin, if you'd like to move on to the minutes.
Sure, Scott. Yes, so moving forward in the agenda, the next item is to approve the minutes of the March 9th meeting. I just wanted to make a note. This morning, an email was circulated from the Greenway, including Andy Beers's presentation. So we're voting this morning on minutes that include Andy's presentation. Hopefully everyone had a chance to read the minutes and note that email this morning. And I'd like to call for a motion to approve those minutes.
Betsy Jacks has her hand up. And a second from Meg Downey.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, Meg. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, they are approved. All right, great. And then the other approval we need is the minutes of the Grants Committee call we had on May 26th. This is just for Grants Committee members to approve those minutes. So I'll need a first and a second.
Sarah Olson has moved.
Thank you, Sarah. And a second.
I'm not seeing. Did Meg wave her hand? Meg Downey, second.
Okay. Thank you again, you two. All those on the Grants Committee in favor of accepting these minutes, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and any recusals or abstentions of any kind? No. Okay, great, they're adopted. Right, thus, we open the Communities Council portion of the meeting, and let me turn it over to Wynn Aldrich for that.
And we do have a quorum.
Great, wonderful. Okay, Wynn, take it
yes,
away.
Calling the Communities Council meeting to order. And I think we begin with the council grants, Scott.
Yes. Community Council grants, we're looking to award $20,000 today. The first applicant is the town of Easton in Washington County. They are requesting, and the Grants Committee recommends $10,000 for a comprehensive plan, phase 1 visioning. The town will initiate a visioning process as the first step in preparation of a comp plan. They will utilize a variety of outreach methods to solicit public participation, including focus groups, meetings, stakeholder interviews, public workshops, a community survey, and online engagement. Through this approach, residents, businesses, and visitors will contribute to forming a vision and related goals and objectives for future growth and preservation within the town. Phase 2, preparing the full comp plan, will follow, and the town will seek additional funding to support completion of that plan. We think this is the Grants Committee thinks this is a really good approach because their last comp plan was in 1984, which is more than a generation ago. So there aren't going to be very many people in the community who know what comp planning is about and how that process should work. So the visioning will give them a really good start to this. The second community grant is to the town of Lloyd in Ulster County. They are requesting, and the Grants Committee recommends $10,000 for a comprehensive plan, also for phase 1 visioning. And we noted during the Grants Committee meeting that both of these applications were prepared by the same consultant. The town is seeking to initiate phase 1 of the town's comp plan, Vision Lloyd. This initial phase will involve direct community stakeholder engagement to identify current issues and concerns and to prepare the vision report and community profile, setting the stage for phase 2 preparation of the comp plan. This community has seen an enormous increase in tourism, some 750,000 people a year, related to both the walkway over the Hudson and connecting to and being a part of the Empire State Trail, which traverses the town east to west between Poughkeepsie and New Paltz. Their last comp plan update was in 2013. Moving on to the Community Council Compact grants, also seeking to award $20,000. The town of LaGrange in Dutchess County is requesting, and the Grants Committee recommends $10,000 for an open space plan update and implementation. LaGrange wants to update its current open space plan adopted in 2007. The project would include an inventory of open space, farmland, natural areas, and explore opportunities to work with adjacent communities in preservation and provide a specific plan for implementation within full implementation within 36 months of the plan's adoption. And the final grant is for the village of Rhinebeck in Dutchess County. They are requesting, and the Grants Committee recommends $10,000 for a comp plan update. The village's 1993 master plan is outdated, especially in areas involving climate change, coordination and partnership with the town of Rhinebeck and Dutchess County, and downtown walkability, bikeability. They have some 50 volunteers plus paid help ready to update the plan. Are there any questions on the grants from any of the board members?
Scott, this is Wint. Let me just ask what role our staff can play appropriately in the visioning process and also the execution process of these comprehensive plans. I'm sure they are very professionally well done, and they're very grateful for the support that we give them. But sometimes people as able as our own staff may have some good ideas and it would not be taken amiss if they were shared with the community or with a consultant.
Whenever we see an application that seems like it might be lacking the guidance that it needs, but we think the grant is worth awarding, we do reach out at that time. Once the grant is awarded, we are unable to reach out once the application is received until there's a decision made on it. In all of these cases, we feel that given the consultants that they're working with and given the experience of the communities and with particularly the two communities in Dutchess County, and we are going to recommend to the town of LaGrange, because they didn't put it in their application, that they work with Dutchess County, who already have, they have one of the best compacts in the Greenway. So we will do that. And then as the results come in, if something is amiss or didn't seem to be addressed, we would ask them to go back and do so.
Excellent. Thank you. Should we move on this or wait until
Nope.
the Conservancy?
We're at the end of the council meeting. We need a motion and a second to award the grants as recommended by the Grants Committee. And this would just be for council members. And I see Bob Elliott is making a motion. And let's let Fran Dunwell be the second.
Very good. All in favor indicate by saying aye or waving.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you have it.
Okay. Kevin, I think it's up to you.
Yes, I'm happy to open up the Greenway portion of the meeting and turn it right back to you, Scott, to get us going.
Okay. First item on the agenda is an update on the Empire State Trail. I wanted to let you know that Andy Beers retired on May 19th, and he will join us at an in-person meeting so we can thank him for his work and his service to the Greenway and to the state on behalf of the Empire State Trail. However, on May 27th, we hired him back to serve as a part-time minimum wage program manager for the Albany Hudson Electric Trail. This was at his request, and we talked this over with both of the chairs. And this is an excellent way for us to continue to manage the Albany Hudson Electric Trail, which we have to do. And he will be training Cody Arana to take his place when he gets tired of this and actually wants to really retire. Andy will be working up to 15 hours per week on those projects, and he will also serve as the institutional memory for issues related to the Empire State Trail if we need them. On May 24th, long-term operational control of the Empire State Trail program was transferred from the Greenway to state parks. With this transfer, and this was almost our intention, we could build it, but we sure don't have the staff to operate it. With this transfer, responsibility for program management across the state, including the website updates, map distribution, public information requests, handling reports of trail damages, and announcing trail closings are all in state parks purview. Molly Riley and Chris Morris will be the main program contacts with backup from regional and public affairs staff. As noted, Andy will answer any EST related questions as OPR has them. We expect that those sorts of that parks need to reach out to Andy will tail off fairly quickly. Molly and Chris are both very competent, very experienced people, and I know the EST program is in really good hands with them. Under the terms of the transfer, the Greenway retains management of all funds currently appropriated to us under the EST program, as well as the AHET program management. And nothing in our agreement with Park changes our responsibilities about the Hudson River Valley Greenway Trail System, including those portions that are part of the Empire State Trail. Are there any questions on that? Okay, then let's move on to a fun topic. Well, not the Empire State Trail isn't fun, but the Sauk Hill Red Hook Trail designation in the town of Red Hook, Dutchess County is just as much fun. The Winnicke Land Trust has requested designation of the 2¼ mile Sauk Hill Red Hook Trail in Rhinebeck. Beth Campachero attended the ribbon cutting for this trail last Saturday as part of National Trails Day celebrations across the nation. And I think Beth is going to brief us on that. Beth, you're on.
Hey, yes. So the Sauk Hill Trails are a collaboration involving the Greenway, Winnicke Land Trust, DEC, and the town of Red Hook. And Winnicke was able to purchase 335 acres in the town with funds from a water quality improvement project grant that's administered by DEC. And this area that the trail is on is very important because it provides clean water for Bard College and the surrounding area. In 2018, the Greenway awarded a $75,000 Conservancy trail grant to Winnicke with the town of Red Hook for the Sauk Hill Red Hook Trailhead project to construct a parking area, trailhead, and approximately 1,800 feet of trail. And the trailhead that's finished now, that was produced with the Greenway funds, will eventually link to a 2.5 mile Sauk Hill Trail system, which will connect to Bard College and the Empire State Trail. So it's an important link. So phase 1 of the trail is now open, and that was the ribbon cutting that was held on June 4th in celebration of National Trails Day. And now the Greenway is pleased to have been a part of this important project and to designate this trail as a countryside corridor as requested by Winnicke as part of the Greenway trail system.
Thank you, Beth. Does anyone have any questions for Beth or me on the designation request? All right. Moving on to the Conservancy trail grants. We are seeking to award $68,000 in trail grants. The first grant is for the Esopus Creek Conservancy in Saugerties, Ulster County. They are requesting, and the grants committee recommends, $20,000 for the South Bridge Replacement Project. The Conservancy manages and maintains the 160-acre Esopus Bend Nature Preserve. One of their bridges is deteriorated to the point of needing replacement. An engineering firm has also recommended moving the location of the bridge to decrease trail steepness and protect abutments from high water levels. This is a climate change adaptation project. Ulster County Council member Mary McNamara is involved with this organization and appears to have taken some of the photos in the application. But as a council member, she doesn't have to recuse herself because this is a vote for Conservancy members only. The second grant is for the Harlem Valley Rail Trail Association in Dutchess County. They are requesting, and the grants committee recommends, $10,000 for an interpretive signage project. The association will update and replace existing deteriorated interpretive panels on the Harlem Valley Rail Trail. And this is a designated, both of these trails are designated Greenway trails already. As is our third grant for the Open Space Institute in Rosendale, Ulster, in the specific section that this grant covers is in Rosendale in Ulster County. They are requesting, and the grants committee recommends, $38,000 for restoration of the Walkill Valley Land Trail Rosendale section. OSI is requesting funds under the newly created Disaster Recovery and Reconstruction Grant category. This new category lets designated trail owners apply for funds to repair total trail destruction caused by either natural or man-made causes, as if the trail was being newly constructed. Some 700 feet of the trail were completely destroyed due to a flood event caused by both excessive sudden rainfall and a blocked culvert off of the trail owner's property. The backup at the collapsed culvert caused floodwaters to run down the trail for 700 feet, eroding the trail surface, the subbase, and the trail prisms to depths of up to 2 feet. The Empire State Trail Program is also providing $12,000 in resurfacing funds for this project. Are there any questions on the Conservancy trail grants? All right. So let me move on to the next agenda item. In consultation with the Grants Committee and at the staff's recommendation, we have decided to, beginning with the next round of grants, increase the maximum amounts that may be applied for in our Trails Grants program. This is to address concerns that some of our grants are not large enough for the targeted project types. Under the trail grants, land trail grants, trail construction will increase from $100,000 to $250,000 at a maximum. Trail design or planning from $40,000 to $75,000. Trail rehabilitation or improvement projects from $20,000 to $100,000. Trail education or interpretation projects from $10,000 to $25,000. And the new natural disaster recovery and reconstruction category will also be eligible for up to $250,000. In the water trail grants, construction, design, or planning will increase from $25,000 to $250,000. Rehabilitation or improvement projects from $10,000 to $100,000. Education or interpretation projects from $10,000 to $25,000. And the natural disaster recovery and reconstruction will also be $250,000. Any questions on the new maximums?
Well, Scott, this is Wint. If you begin to approach those maximums, it's going to mean surely fewer grants in that particular funding cycle.
That's true, but we're not getting the trail construction grants that we're looking for at this point. People are not applying for that, so we're not getting the new trail segments built that we would like to see built. After discussing it in the grants committee, we decided that it made more sense to have 1 or 2 projects a year. Actually, it's unlikely to be more than 1 a year that would approach the maximum, given the other categories and the amount of money available. But if we can actually get some trail built and designated, that was more important than just continually doing benches and kiosks and things like that.
Understood. I agree.
Any other questions? Yes, Betsy.
I have a quick question. Is all of that information on the website now too?
It is. The application is updated and on the website.
Okay, great.
And there's new guidelines.
Look at it.
Yes, Mary.
So I was wondering, to what degree does this reflect your hope that the budget for Greenway will increase?
It doesn't reflect it at all. We have had increases to our trail grant budget from $100,000 to $250,000 to $500,000 a year, which is where we're at now. So we're seeing that this is going to be an important step to making sure that now that we have a larger budget, this is a better way to spend it. Those grant maximums had not changed in probably 15 years. So we think it was time. Any other questions? And let me back up for just a second. Under the reactions tab on your screen, there is a raise hand button. There are currently 2 different screens of people. So if you're on the second screen and you just raise your physical hand, I won't see you. But if you raise your hand under the reactions tab, you will pop up onto the first screen and I will then see you. All right, moving on to the adoption of the budget. Put that up in case there are questions. The budget was reviewed individually by the Finance Executive Committee. There is it's part of your packet. There is I just wanted to go over some highlights of the budget initially. There's a decrease in Conservancy operations from 2021-22. Because in that year, there were 2 retroactive years of increases paid to staff, resulting in a higher than normal cost. We are now back to not having retroactive increases. The Empire State Trail budget is primarily for completing the ongoing resurfacing projects that were unable to be completed last year due to the time taken to get the design in place and get the construction firms hired through the state procurement process. New programs in this year's proposed budget include the Hudson River National Estuarine Research Reserves, Piermont Marsh program, rehabilitation program. It's a restoration program. Which is a mitigation project for the Mario Cuomo Bridge. And in the National Heritage area, we are supporting the Hudson River Maritime Museum's Seven Sentinels film about the 7 remaining lighthouses on the Hudson River. This film is designed to raise awareness of these historic sites and to help raise funds to conserve them. Also in the NHA program is work beginning on the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a project Eleanor Roosevelt was deeply involved with. We are working closely with the Roosevelt estate, the National Park Service unit at ROVA. We are not expecting to spend funds on this project in the state fiscal year, but I put a placeholder in this budget in case things move more quickly than expected. Programs expected to finish this year include the Hudson River Greenway Trail Guidebook, which we are undertaking with Parks and Trails New York, which should be published in mid-July, and the Martin Van Buren Ambassador Program. Does anyone have any questions on the budget? All right, and moving on to the last item on the agenda before the vote is the adoption of the Paris Budget and Financial Plan. As most of you are aware, the Conservancy, as a New York State public benefit corporation, is required to annually file a series of financial reports with the Public Authorities Reporting Information System. Each of those reports must be approved by this board. So about 115 pages of your packet are taken up with these documents, most of which do not change from year to year. Note that the audit contained in your version, in your packet, is only a draft. The audit is ready to be finalized. However, we are waiting on one confirmation letter to be returned from the Attorney General's office before that can happen. The auditor, as you can read from the opinion letter in the draft, they have issued an unqualified opinion, and there are no items on the management letter. We will review, and I will ask the board to accept the full audit for both corporations and the combined audit at our next meeting. Are there any questions on the Paris documents? This is the exciting part of the meeting. All right, Chairman, we need a vote to designate the new trail, award the grants as recommended by the Grants Committee, adopt the budget, and approve the Paris documents. Wow. And after that, and that's just for Conservancy members, after that, we forgot to vote on the proclamations. So we will have to go back and vote on the proclamations, which would be for everyone.
Oh, right. Okay, good. All right, so let's do the first one. First is the omnibus Conservancy resolution for all the things that Scott just mentioned in the Conservancy agenda. This is for Conservancy members only. I will need a first and a second. Okay, Sarah, thank you. And a second. Is anyone on the Conservancy side?
Jeannie, second.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you, Jeannie.
I couldn't get the mute down.
Fine. Okay, all those in favor, please signal by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
And thank you, Daniela and Cindy, for raising your hands too, and Jane.
And any nays? No nays heard. And no recusals, no. I don't think. Those are adopted. Okay. Let's go ahead now and do the resolutions for Fran and
Lori.
So that is for anyone who's a board member for either organization.
Bob Elliott has raised his hand for the motion.
Bob. And I see
and Mary McNamara has seconded. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All those in favor by acclamation, I hope it's all a resounding yes. Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
We're not accepting nays. So moved. Great. Okay, Scott. And now I think it's on to the National Heritage area.
Yes, it is. The first item is we're also increasing the maximum available grants or amount to apply for on the Heritage Development grants from $5,000 to $7,500. This also addresses same concern. Some of these grants are, people aren't applying for the grants because they're just not enough to cover what they're looking to do. And while we haven't gone up in our grant amounts that we're getting from the feds, we feel that we're comfortably within our margin to increase these grants and still be able to have grants to give at all of our meetings. There are no grants at this particular meeting because we got no applications. So we're hoping to spur some new interest. Any questions on the new maximum? All right, let me go over the NHA by the numbers report. Each year, Dan Jensen and I, mostly Dan, spend about a week putting together our individual reports for the National Park Service, summarizing our activity over the prior year. At the same time, the other 54 National Heritage areas across the nation are also doing this. NPS combines these reports into an annual report to Congress and the public. This year's report, which is at the end of your packet, shows NHA's leveraged $76 million in cash and in-kind support for the $22.8 million in federal appropriations that we all receive. We engage over 8,000 formal and informal partners and generate over 280,000 volunteer hours. So it's a chance to demonstrate to the Congress that the impact and the economic development that these heritage areas have across the country. Any questions on that report? All right, I wanted to also update you on Program Bill Senate 1942. On May 3rd, the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources advanced an amended version of the National Heritage Area Act that will provide long-term authorization for America's national heritage areas and a steady stream of federal funding for these critical designations. The committee approved the legislation without opposition through a bipartisan voice vote. S 1942 was originally sponsored by Senators Debbie Stanow and Roy Blunt, a Democrat and a Republican, respectively, and has 15 bipartisan co-sponsors. Representatives Paul Tonko of New York and David McKinley of West Virginia are sponsoring similar legislation in the House, and those are the two co-chairs of the National Heritage Area Caucus in the House. This law would authorize annual appropriations of not more than $1 million per heritage area. Currently, we're receiving $500,000. Our funding cap would remain in place and would still require periodic increases, but this bill appears to remove the need for periodic reauthorizations to receive appropriations. This bill has gone to the Senate floor, and we are hoping it is passed in this Congress, either in August or probably more likely in the lame duck session after the election in November. Any questions on this? All right, moving on to the Executive Director's report. I received word from Mary McNamara, our Ulster County rep, that her predecessor, Vernon Benjamin, passed away on Monday. When Vernon was an aide to then Assemblyman Maurice Hinchey, he worked to create the Greenway as well as the estuary program. Our sympathies go out to his family, and I would like to call on Stefan Yarabek to speak about Benjamin. Stefan? We have to unmute Stefan.
How's that?
There we go. We hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's a real honor to introduce this memoriam for Vernon. First met Vernon when he was working with Assemblyman Hinchey at the beginning of the Greenway days. As you all know, Maurice was an avid supporter and proponent of the Greenway, as was State Senator Saland. But it was Vernon who put together the consortium of legislators to really move this incredible concept forward. Despite the issues of home rule and various things, and I know that it was a personal barb for both Maurice and Vernon that it took so long for the town that I live in now to become a Greenway community. But that aside, Vernon championed environmental causes throughout his life. He was at the forefront in the town of Saugerties. I had the pleasure of working with him also as the chairman of the Historic Preservation Commission. And we're always had a great time coming up with creative ways to move the issue of stewardship, sustainability, and historic preservation forward. He will be missed, and I know that there's not enough that can be said about this great prince. So I'm glad we're doing some official recognition. It would have been much nicer if he could come and talk about his book, but I'm sure Winty has a few things to say about that. Thank you.
Well, yes, I do. Like Fran, Vernon Benjamin was an accomplished historian of our valley, and his 2 volumes, which he worked on for many years, drawing from an extraordinary array of sources, some secondary, some primary, and interviews with numerous people, stand as a not only a monument to his own enterprise and skill, but also a lasting resource for all of us as we delve into the history of the region and begin to build forward that wonderful and encouraging history. Thank you, Vernon, for all that you've done in these various ways.
And Mary, did you want to say anything?
I was showing the group the books that Vernon wrote, the history of the Hudson River Valley. So it took him only 23 years to write that book, but it was worth every bit. Saugerties is so lucky to have Vernon Benjamin, but the Hudson Valley and the Hudson River watershed are blessed with so many different strong visionary personalities. And Maurice Henchy had a good partner in Vernon helping him implement. And I see that both Stacy and Rachel, his daughters, are on the call. And I'm so pleased that they're able to be here. I don't know if you wanted to say anything, but I'm so glad you get to hear how much your father meant to the whole entire valley. So.
We just want to say how much we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. It would have meant the world to him. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your joining us. All right. Moving on to the rest of my executive director's report, I'd ask you to join me in saluting our staff, who almost accomplished more than I expect. I want to particularly note that Dan Jeanson has been maintaining the EST website throughout its various iterations, and he is currently making himself available to provide technical assistance to the new state park operators of the website who have not previously worked in the Drupal environment. And Parks announced just last week that a new trip planning feature has been launched on the EST website that we've been working on for a while. And included in that feature are a variety of lodging options that you can see on each of the individual segments. Over the summer, our staff will be working to upgrade and modernize our grants management system into a one-stop resource for applicants and awardees. Currently, we use 6 separate programs to manage and pay our grants. Ideally, we'd like to reduce this to 2 or 3 at the most. We will keep you posted on our progress, and hopefully it'll be up and running by the time our October grants take place. Finally, please join me in congratulating our friends at the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor and the New York State Canal Corporation on the National Trails Day announcement from the Secretary of the Interior that the remaining sections of the New York State Canalway Water Trail have been named a National Water Trail. The newly designated sections of the canal system join the Champlain Canal, which was designated in 2012 as part of our water trails designation, and joins the Bronx River as the 3 national water trails in New York State. With this designation, 62% of the 1,200-mile Empire State Water Trail are now designated as national water trails. Any questions on my executive director's report or anything else before I turn it over to Kevin for new business?
Only to say that the Erie Canalway Water Trail would not have happened without Scott.
Thank you, Bob. They're a fun group to work with, and and they list that they actually want to learn, which is terrific. They're not just asking because they think they ought to. They take the comments of everyone on the advisory committee very seriously, and there's a really good advisory committee of which I'm one small part of. Anything else?
This is Wint. I just think that members might be interested in knowing that Kevin and I, from time to time, are in touch with Barney and have seen him. He has some mobility problems, and so he doesn't get out very much, but he's keenly interested in hearing how things are going forward in the areas that he's devoted so many decades to. And whenever we do see him, we of course bring the best wishes of the council and the Conservancy and all his friends in government and in the valley to him, and he appreciates it.
Right. Kevin, do you want to handle new business?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. And thank you, Wynn. That's so true about Barney. And before I open it to new business, just wanted to make a comment, which is in hearing about Vernon Benjamin and of course celebrating Fran Dunwell, I think there's a lesson for us all, which is part of our work is about the land and about the resources of our environment, but it's also the stories. And all of us should, I think, take a page out of the books of these great people and how they tell the story of our valley, and that each of us in our own way can be ambassadors in our own way of talking about it, sharing stories, sharing memories about our attachment to it, keeping those other stories alive. That's how the work of these great individuals can live on. So let me open for new business at the end of the meeting here. And also before that, just note ahead that our next meeting will be in October on October 12th, and then December 14th will be the last meeting of the calendar year. So October 12th and December 14th.
And we will have new meeting dates for 23 at the October meeting.
Exactly. All right, so let me open it to new business. Who wants to jump in and who has any announcements to make?
Go ahead, Skip.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I noticed in going through all the bills that passed both houses of the legislature, the indemnification bill for communities in the Greenway, the 5-year extender passed both houses. I think there was introduced by Senator Hinchey. Hasn't been sent to the governor yet.
Great, thank you for the update.
God, am I right in saying that over the years, that's been something that, at least in a few cases, has proven to be very useful to our member agencies and communities, and should continue to hold appeal for those who haven't yet joined our happy throng?
It has rarely, but fortuitously been used by one or two communities, yes. Anyone else? Shares, I think you can adjourn the meeting if you'd like.
Okay, Scott. Wow, we did it under an hour. Amazing. Thank you for that. Thank you to our wonderful staff. Thank you to our really dedicated board members. It's great working with you. Again, we're just, I know so long to share each other's company, but Zoom we'll have to do today. But I hope you all get out and enjoy the summer, find places and moments for peace and relaxation, and get to derive all the wonderful fruits of our valley, and look forward to seeing you in the fall. Thank you so much. And with that,
thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day, everyone.